All right, my friends, how are you today? Today we're talking about the 21st of December 2019, preparing ourselves for the solstice, the transition from the sun going in the sign of Sagittarius over to the sign of Capricorn, right? We got a lot of movement, a lot of big energies going on today. We got the moon moving into Scorpio, okay? So as the moon's moving into Scorpio, we're creating an opposition over to Uranus. At 2 degrees of Taurus, the moon's going to be at 2 degrees of Scorpio, okay? We've got Mars at 21 degrees of Scorpio, creating a sextile to the Earth sign of Capricorn, to Pluto and to Saturn, okay? Saturn and Pluto are going to meet up. They're only at 2 degrees apart right now. Saturn's at 20 degrees, and Pluto's at 22 degrees, right? So they're going to meet up on January 12th next year. Just not in a very short while, right? Next year is a lot closer than it seems when we say next year, this time of year, right? So what is all of this energy meaning right now, okay? First, our opposition, okay? Opposition from the moon to Uranus, okay? And, you know, Uranus over there in Taurus is like the wrecking ball, just coming through, making change, creating a new way. Okay, the moon over in Scorpio is saying we have to be cooperative and work together. Okay, you know, it's just like when the lightning strikes, you know, there's destruction, but also magical things happen. A purpose to rebuild something maybe even greater than it was originally, right? So there's definitely a lot of cooperation happening here on Saturday. And this can feel, you know, this can be an interesting, you know, can be a little heavier energy. It can be lighter. It just depends on our perspective, on where we're at with going with the flow and going with the change. Okay. Now, Mars at 21 degrees, interesting aspect. Okay. So Mars creating the sextile. Let me show you the chart here. Mars creating that sextile, that line right there, over here to these two bad boys. All right. This is about going on our own path, following our own consciousness, okay? Going against the grain, going against the fad, going against the trend, okay? This is a soldier disobeying orders to follow his consciousness or her consciousness, all right? So, a soldier not following orders, refusing to follow orders, because they know in their heart there's a different and a better way to go about something. Now that gets greeted with a bit of challenge, but at the same time, really powerful. 22 degrees of Capricorn is also about being rewarded, about, you know, a soldier being rewarded for their courageous acts, for their ability to continue to carry on, right? And being that kind of hero. It's such an interesting aspect what's happening here with these two. Okay, so it's just like going against the grain later becomes rewarded and heroic. But at the time, you know, that's the rub, because at the time you're disobeying strict orders and commands. You're going against what everyone is saying that you have to do. You're going against the authority, right? But then by doing so, it's later rewarded. And it's up to us on this kind of a day to discern what that means, what that is to us, going against the grain to follow our own path. You know, I mean, we still have that, you know, we're still working through that shadow period of ourselves for another couple of weeks here, right? As Mars is only at 21 degrees, so we've still got a little bit time to go. And Jupiter as well. You know, the moon is creating that sextile to Jupiter today. Okay, so it's saying where we need cooperation, where we need to work together, there's a sense of, you know, can we create peace and war, or war peacefully? It's a very interesting thing, you know, when we fight with our loved ones, it's usually because we love them. It's usually because we care. If we didn't care about them, there'd be no purpose to communicate that. It's very easy to just walk away. You know, well, I don't care about this job. I don't care about this person. I don't care about this relationship. I don't care about this thing. You know, it's easy for me to walk away from things I don't care about. But when we care about somebody, when we care about something, when we care about a job, a career, a boss, a loved one, a friend, you know, and we butt heads, are we able to do that? Are we able to butt heads with an intent of peace? You know, and the North Node, of course, moving over to 8 degrees. Okay, Jupiter getting, you know, they're both getting closer, you know, so this is coming close to the South Node, as the South Node is right there at 8 degrees as well. As they're going to continue to get closer as the year continues in the top of the new year. You know, this is reminding us to be compassionate, to be nurturing to the other, to be nurturing to ourselves. Where we might raise our fists or raise our voice, are we able to let go of our hardened, you know, old way of thinking, or old way of this is what a fight looks like. This is what a battle looks like. You know, because ultimately this is for peace. Do we have to put up the cuffs? Do we have to, again, raise our voices? Or are we able to find a new way to do it? Because our consciousness is saying, no, I don't want to fight with you. You know? Is there a different way we can go about this? So whatever that may be, and it might be completely internal, which is also a very good possibility. You know, that this struggle, that this fight, refusing of orders and all of this other stuff is completely internal, completely, you know, inside. I'm going against what I feel is right, but my heart's saying something different. My brain is saying one thing, my heart's saying something different. You know, and Mercury's up in Sagittarius, 18 degrees. The moon is at 29 degrees today, you know, which is about abundance. Like we talked about the last couple of days, Jupiter was in Sagittarius. It's about abundance. And there's plenty for everyone. And the universe is just opening the clouds up and shining down on you. So when we have this feeling of cooperation, when we have this feeling of, you know, again, there might be 2 different energies going on here, but we can live abundantly, communicate from a place of higher knowledge. We've learned so much this past year, you know. Can we use those tools instinctually? Chiron over in Aries, you know, learning to adjust our instincts, to not be as combative, to not, you know, have to put up the fists and further. And then we have Venus, of course, just in the early degrees of Aquarius, which is seeing a future, creating something, creating a vision, having a vision in our hearts. You know, it's just like, this is where I see a relationship going. This is where I see a relationship with myself going. This is where I see a relationship with the other going. This is where I see a relationship with my community going. You know, and just because I have changed doesn't mean everyone else has changed. So I have to be the one, you know, that's that Mars at 21 degrees right now, saying I've got to march differently. I've got to follow my instincts. I got to follow my own intuition here. And just because this is what the whole group is doing, this is what society is doing, doesn't mean that that's what I have to do. Because I feel, Venus, I feel differently. I feel a future of you know, that we might not be present yet. But I feel it, and I know we can achieve it. And whatever it is, you know, Jupiter in Capricorn, slow and steady wins this race. We're talking about our expansion. So if we keep at it, 22 degrees Pluto, you know, and soon again, Saturn will be right there. That's where they're connecting. That once we continue to do those things, there's a great, great reward. That we have no idea what it is yet. We don't know what the reward is yet, but it's coming, you know. And if we keep at it day by day, and not just talking about it or thinking about it, but living it, bringing it into action. Yeah. What a way to end this fall, right? To end autumn and to moving into winter. Very, very, very powerful Saturday. So as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you. You know, I do appreciate when you guys like it and comment. It's such a little treat. You know, I don't do this for the likes and the comments, but again, I always appreciate it. I appreciate you hanging out with me. As always, I love you. I wish you enough. Have a beautiful end of your autumn, and winter's here. We'll see you tomorrow.